Hi, once again, this is Brother Teacher. Hope everyone is doing well. I just want to take a moment and talk with you for a moment about divorce. If you are married, or if you have been married, or even considering marriage, this may be of some interest and or benefit to you. The subject actually is if your husband or wife commits adultery against you with someone else, can you get a divorce? Or do you have the right to get a divorce? Now, some might think that this is a very easy answer, and really, it is. There are certain things that should be understood in a marriage, and unfortunately, when people hook up or get together, they don't consider some things. Oftentimes, people get together, and this could be just in a general relationship, a social situation as well, or even just a consensual sexual relationship. People get together, just because they like the other person aesthetically, or they like being entertained by the other individual. That their personality is something that draws them to that other person. It could be the fact that one individual has maybe a very good paying job and likes to wine and dine the other. Whatever the reason is that draws you to someone else, the main reason that should draw any prospective husband and wife together should be that you actually have come to love the other individual. And when I say love, I'm not talking about based on appearance. Appearance, aesthetics are superficial, they're not permanent. We all are going to age over time. We won't look the same that we did when we first got together. Many of us are going to also age physically to the point where we have maladies, arthritis, back problems, sight problems, heart problems, foot problems, whatever. We are going to change, is what I'm saying. And if you don't love your partner, your husband, your wife, with the proper love, then you're going to fall away from love. So that is what I have found over the years that people get together for, other than finances, of course, money. You know, someone has a very, very good paying job. It could be both partners, the husband and the wife, and it could just be the husband has uh, the greater paying job or salary or wages, as it were. But whatever the reason is that gets you together, as I said before, it should really be steeped in and based on real, unadulterated love. No superficial, physical attraction only. But unfortunately, many people get together simply because of physical attraction. That what they call that it's still superficial love. I think you know what I'm saying. I just can't get the word right now. I've said this word 1,000 times. But anyway, it may come to me before I'm done, but it's not that important. In other words, it's not infatuation. That's the word. Uh, it's just love right now, but I can fall out of love tomorrow. Infatuation. So, one of the reasons that people uh, have a high divorce rate is because they got married for the wrong reasons. And I just pointed out some of those reasons. Uh, it's unfortunate that one of the greater reasons that people fall out of love and get divorces outside of the common ones that most of us know of, the money, the health failing, and just differences, family members, third parties outside of your home, trying to run your house, and like your family, your in-laws, and things of this nature. That occurs as well. But one of the key reasons that people divorce or say that it's over is infidelity. The husband cheats on the wife, or the wife cheats on the husband. I'm a witness. I've experienced this. I've known many people who have gone through a similar situation of infidelity. Now, just for the record, I don't have to tell you any particulars or specifics. Uh, I was cheated on in my lifetime. I'll just leave it there. Now, is it lawful for a husband or wife to leave one or the other because of adultery? The answer is yes. In the Bible, for those of you that are spiritual and or religious, and I give a lot of respect to those that are atheists and agnostics, even though you may not believe that there's a God or an entity that is responsible for all living things in our lives and so forth. I still respect you, but I'm going to say this. Please just bear with me using the biblical principles, because that's where I come from. I'm not trying to make this a religious show or setting right now, but there are 5 books in the Bible in the beginning of the Old Testament: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Those are the books of law. Some call them the Pentateuch. Okay, uh, those are God's books of the law, and you will find the law concerning adultery in there as well. In the book of Exodus, the 20th chapter, that's found in there. Uh, Adultery is when the husband or the wife breaks the covenant or the agreement of marriage. Marriage is not a sheet of paper. That is something that was created by man many, many years after the beginning of man. Adam and Eve, if you believe in that story, didn't have a sheet of paper that bound them together. A piece of paper is just a piece of paper. All it is just a written declaration that you are married. I don't know any married couples that walk around with a sheet of paper, their marriage license, just to prove to the world that they're married. But they know they're married. Marriage is here. It's a union between you and that other individual. That's marriage. Once you decide that you want to be with that other person for the rest of your natural life, men and women, then you are married. That's the covenant, and that's the agreement that you make between the two of you. You don't need the state of Illinois, the state of Florida, the state of Georgia, the state of Ohio, the state of Pennsylvania, the state of anything to tell you that you're married. That's another topic, another subject. You are married because you two individuals choose to be married. Everything else is just custom and tradition. So now getting back to, can you get a divorce? First of all, let's go back to covenant. If I meet a young lady today, hypothetically speaking, using myself as the example, of course, if I meet a young lady and we talk, uh, and we've known each other for a period of time, whatever that period of time might be, at some point in time, we both decide that we want to be with one another, other than just a general friendship. And when we make a commitment verbally to one another, it began in both of our minds at first, before we even made the statement that we wanted to be together for the rest of our lives. That's marriage. And then marriage is solidified, even physically, through the act of sex. Okay? That is the highest degree of love that you can show towards your partner, to your partner. Once you have made that covenant with one another, you are indeed married in the sight of God. And it should be in the sight of man, not a piece of paper. So now, I'm not trying to rain on anybody's parade that has the rings and the marriage licenses and all of the fancy weddings and things of this sort. Been there, done that. Okay. I'm not trying to tell you not to do those things. I'm just telling you what I know and what I have experienced. So now, once that covenant between you and your wife, in this particular instance, I'm the man, me and my wife, once we made that covenant, if my wife goes out and has sex with another man, she has committed adultery against me. She has broken our covenant, the the bond that we made together to be together forever. And no other man can have sex with my wife without having to have committed adultery. So if a man if a man has sex with my wife and my wife with a man, another man other than me, she's committed adultery. She's broken the covenant that we had with each other. It doesn't matter what her reasons are. He snores. I don't. I'm just saying. But anyway, uh, I don't like the way he makes the bed, so I'm gonna go cheat. Not an excuse. I don't like the fact that he's working 12 hours a day and not spending at least 5 of those hours with me, even though he's providing for the family. No reason for her to go cheat. I don't like the fact that he's telling me that he will at least like 1 or 2 warm meals out of 5 days in the week. So I'm just going to go out and cheat. I don't like the fact that he's not whining and dining me every weekend. So I'm going to go out and find another guy that will. And now that I bump into this other guy hanging out with my girlfriends or what have you, and they introduce me to someone knowing full well that we're married or that I'm married, I sort of start having these secret text messages and these secret phone calls away from my husband. And the next thing you know, me and this guy, this stranger that I just met, are hooking up with each other. And the next thing you know, while my husband is at work, I'm somewhere else having sex with another guy with my legs spread wide open, knowing that I've done the wrong thing, but he's no wiser. Stop. It happens, and it has happened. Once the husband is aware, whether the wife tells him or not, but once he's aware that she has cheated on him or committed adultery, guys, you have a right to leave. You have a right to divorce her. And guys, the same is true with you. Your wife is at home, taking care of the children, taking care of the home, or even on her own job, and you're somewhere hanging out with the fellas. You might even be a loner somewhere out, just being out. Shopping, you run into a girl, young lady, start up some general conversation, and it seems like you have some things in common. She might say, "Are you married?" You say, "No, I used to be," or whatever. You tell her some kind of lie that you conjure up. Or she may not even ask you, "Are you married?" She may not even care if you're married. And the next thing you know, that you all are having lunch, a convenient lunch that doesn't interfere with your regular schedule with your wife and or your family at home or your job. So on one of those days when you're supposed to be at work, you leave a little early. Or as soon as you get off work, you go spend some time with this young lady. And you kick it off real good. And next thing you know, on one weekend, you're out with this young lady and you're probably sliding over to her house because she lives alone. Maybe even have 1 or 2 children. Might be real, real young children. And you come to her home and you're in the bed with her and you committed adultery. You're not going to tell your wife that you've done that. But the reason you committed adultery is the same as her. She's always browbeating you about doing things in the house. Can you fix this? Can you do that? You don't do enough. You don't give me enough money for allowance and what have you. And I did use the term allowance. I'm not talking about a petty thing such as something juvenile, like for children having allowance. There's nothing wrong with that word allowance. You will allow me to have this amount of money based on our income because I don't have a job. If your wife is not working, you give her something every time you get paid. That can be considered an allowance. There's nothing wrong with that. It could be a manifold or plethora of reasons why your wife wants to make an excuse for what you're not doing in the house. Maybe you don't have sex as much as she would desire that you do, and she's always browbeating you about that. Honey, I want to get intimate tonight, and you just work 12 hours, 13 hours on the job, 6 days a week, just to make ends meet, just to provide more of a comfortable living for you and your family. And she's not understanding that because she's in her feelings, her emotions. You follow? So, since she's nagging you, some guys want to call it nagging. I don't call it nagging. I call it her just trying to really express herself to you. But anyway, some guys might say she's nagging. Maybe you're always arguing about money. Maybe you're arguing about her mom or your in laws because they're always seeming to be in your business. Maybe they come over the house one too many times. Maybe they're always over the house and you never have time with your wife and you just want to simply get away. So you find refuge with this other woman who says all of the things that you want to hear. And so you commit adultery with this woman. Now, I've given equal responsibility to both sides, the woman committing adultery in the relationship and the man committing adultery, the breaking of the covenant or the agreement that you originally made with one another. They're both equally wrong. Guys, if you cheat on your wife and you have sex with someone else, you have committed adultery. And she has a right to leave you. Back in the day, they stoned men and women. In the old day, that was the penalty for committing adultery. And ladies, if you cheat on your man, and as I said again, ladies, if you cheat on your man, back in the day, they stoned women in the biblical times for committing adultery. Remember the scripture in the book of John where the woman was caught in the act of adultery and the guys came to Christ, to Jesus, Yeshua, and they said, Master, we caught this woman committing adultery. She was in the act. And he just stood there and they were asking for permission to stone her because that's what the law was, stoning the person that was responsible for committing adultery. So, since that was the penalty for committing adultery during that period of time, what do you think it would be today? It would be the same thing if we were following the principles of the Bible back then. So, divorce is basically the separation from your original partner. So, yes, it's okay to divorce someone for committing adultery against you if you're married to that person because they have broken the covenant that you had between one another. That was it, and that was all. Now, please let me know in the comment section below if you have had someone commit adultery against you, ladies and guys, against you while you were married, either in time past or even presently. But I want you to know that you have some basis to say that I don't want to be with you anymore because that covenant is something that's binding both in heaven and on earth. So it's not fair to do something to your partner on that level and to still remain in that same situation because you can never have any homogeneous relationship after that because there's no more peace because they have disturbed the harmony that you had in the very beginning. That was it. Let me know what your comments are in the comment section below. I'm out.